Hello and welcome to the Q&A Talkback for Block 7 of Stareable Fest 2020. My name is Herman Wang. I am a web series creator. My projects include Spell Tutor, which is based in the Harry Potter universe, and my newest project is Illuminations, which focuses on conspiracy theories. Stareable Fest is the premier annual indie TV and web series festival in the US and the new home for digital creative talent in the TV industry. We honor the year's best content and provide a space for the next generation of creators to connect with industry executives, grow their network, learn new skills, and build community. Today, we are welcoming some of the creators of the incredible shows in our short-form comedy category. First, we would like to thank the Fest sponsors, including Dell Technologies, AMC Networks, Shutterstock, and Adorama. If this is your first event with us, here are a few notes about interacting on the platform. You can click on the TV icon on the left side of your screen to open the virtual screening room to watch any of the shows. You can click on anyone in the audience to start a private video chat with them. We won't be able to hear that conversation up on stage. If you haven't already, please allow your browser to enable your camera and your microphone so we can see and hear you. Click the gear icon in the top right corner and change the settings to enable your camera and mic. Most importantly, we'll be taking your questions and comments later in the session, so please participate. Use the hand icon along the bottom to raise your hand if you have a question and would like to come up on stage here with us. Or if you'd like to just submit a question on screen, click on the question mark bubble and type it in the chat to us. Now I'd like to welcome our guests. We have to break it into two blocks because of limited space on the Shindig stage here. But first, I'd like to introduce Lindsey Middleton from Just Hysterics, Diane, Chen, and Nguyen from Sideways Smile.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, what's up?
And our next block is Julie Pearson from BOXCAR Adults, Jesse Vogelaar from Pull My Finger, and Wendy Litner from How to Buy a Baby.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi
Okay,
there.
so Julie, Jesse, and Wendy. All right, so let's start with introductions. We'll start with the three of you, Aaron, first. So can you please just take a few minutes to introduce yourself, your name, your project, your role in the project, that sort of thing, where you're calling from. Why don't we start with you, Julie, please?
All right. Hi, I'm Julie Pearson with the BOXCAR Adults. I'm based in LA. And the BOXCAR Adults is a comedy parody of the BOXCAR Children book series that you may vaguely remember from your childhood. And I wrote and directed and did the voiceover narration for the project.
Thank you. Jesse, please.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm a filmmaker based in Melbourne from Pull My Finger, which I created and co-directed with Justin Villa, another director.
Yeah, and you're calling from Australia right now. I'd just like to point that out to the audience. It's 3:45 in the morning for him.
Yeah, he's run out of bed, so.
All right, and thank you. Wendy, please.
Yes, hi, I'm Wendy Litner. I'm the writer, creator, producer of How to Buy a Baby. It's based on my own hilarious inability to have a baby. And I'm based in Toronto, Canada.
All right, let's switch to the first three people I mentioned so that we can have them introduce themselves as well, please. Okay, Lindsey, why don't you go ahead, please?
Okay, cool. Hi, my name is Lindsey Middleton. I am one of the co-creators for the web series Just Hysterics, along with Grania O'Flynn and Hannah Jack. We are all currently based in Toronto. And yeah, that's about it.
I'm Hung. I am the writer-director of Sideways Smile. I am currently based in Providence, Rhode Island, having just relocated from New York. And then, Diane, why don't you give the log line for Sideways Smile?
Great, throw me under the bus. I'm Diane, my pronouns are they, them. I'm a producer and an actor on Sideways Smile, and I'm currently based in New York, where Hong just left me. And Sideways Smile is a really great comedy web series about an Asian American woman trying to find out how to have an orgasm and learn more about the world around her.
All right, thank you. So before we begin with the audience questions, we have some prepared questions that I've set up for the guests. So let's start with Just Hysterics, please. So from watching your skits, it's obviously you're not afraid of sort of adult or raunchy topics. But when you were sort of spitballing ideas, were there any sketch ideas that your group thought was like too much or going too far, for the intended audience?
I don't think so. I think like a guiding force for a lot of our sketches were just putting like women at the forefront, and maybe like people interpreting that as raunchy or whatnot. I think it's nice to put women in those roles in that spotlight and have agency over those things. So there was nothing that we were really like, oh, that's too far. We just wanted to give it like a real authentic comedic lens of what a woman's life is actually like. No filters, none of that. And just kind of poke fun at the hilarious
definitely no filters.
That, we all live through as young millennial women. So yeah, I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe next time.
No. Yeah. Well, it's good to know you're not holding back, I guess.
We're not.
Thank you, Lindsey. A question for Sideways Smile. So, like you mentioned, your show is partially addressing sort of stereotypical representations of Asians and Asian women in on TV and film, and web series seem to really be taking the forefront in providing those non-stereotypical representations. Do you feel that, like, for web series creators alone doing it is enough to kind of change things in TV and film, or do you think more is needed besides the web series creators contributing to that? Either Hong or Diane can answer that.
Diane, you take it.
I mean, I think that's a great question. I think the reason I got into web series creating like a couple of years ago was because I was like, I'm not booking. I don't think the industry quite knows what to do with me. And so I guess I'll just, create stuff for myself. And, I think when we've been seeing this trend with web series, like becoming like half-hour comedy pilots like Broad City or Insecure or whatever, it's because those shows were coming from a really specific but like authentic perspective. And I think that honestly sometimes we're missing that from mainstream media. And I think the industry is like slowly but surely catching up to the fact that like the specificity and the authenticity of these perspectives is what people want. So I think that's a good question. I think that I don't think it's enough, quote unquote, for web series to be the only ones doing this. But I think it has been a slow process for, mainstream media to realize like that this is what people want.
Yeah, it's almost like it's affecting like TV and film like by osmosis almost, which is kind of a slow process. But hopefully, it'll be ongoing. All right, thank you very much. Why don't we bring up our other three creators up on stage so we can present them with some questions as well. Hello, Wendy. Since you're here first, I'll go with your questions. So, okay. So how to buy a baby. I noticed that you've created a lot of sort of supplemental content along with your episode content, but you've got sort of supplemental content related to infertility and sort of real life struggles with that. I mean, do you feel that this was was this intended as a marketing tool? And if it was, like, how effective did it end up being to bring viewers into the show and kind of get them interested in the episodes you created?
It was a marketing tool and also something that was expected by our funders as well. So we created that as well. And also, as part of the series, I always wanted it to be more than just a series and also like foster a community. I feel like people going through infertility often feel like really isolated and alone. And so I was hoping to also create a bit of like advocacy around it and help destigmatize it. And so I didn't want it to just be my story. I was hoping that it would be a platform for other people to feel empowered and share their stories as well. And also educate a bit about infertility.
Thank you. Just for the benefit of the audience, who was your funder?
We had a few actually. The Independent Production Fund in Canada here, the Bell Fund, also CBC, which is our public broadcaster, also help fund the series as well.
All right, thank you. Let's go with Julie. So BOXCAR adults. I didn't actually realize it was a reference to something. I guess maybe I'm not the right age demographic, but it seems like there's sort of a lot of web series that deal with sort of millennial issues and things like that. What is your particular strategy for standing out from the crowd among all these shows?
It is based on this old children's book series from like the 50s or 60s. But I found that it's about 50-50 on people who remember it or ever knew about it as a kid. So hopefully it doesn't to stand. But I think because there was a source material and a jumping off point in that way, I wanted to focus on the specificity of that to explore the millennial idea, like using the sort of children's book elements, the narration and the illustrations and things like that to contrast modern millennialhood with kind of what we expected of people in the like decades past. And so I really tried to lean into the specificity of that and like making a kind of compare contrast, to make it really specific.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of get the feeling like if I did know the reference, I might have sort of understood the some of the references you were making in the presentation method. But okay, thank you very much. Let's go, Jesse. You did pull my finger. It's a square format show with very brief episodes. Do you feel that the square format that you chose sort of affected production decisions? In other words, would you have done things differently if it was a wide or a vertical aspect ratio?
Yeah, I think we always knew we wanted it to be square because they're so short and they're designed to be their own memes. Like we start off with a premise in the first episode and then every episode changes genre and kind of eats itself in the way that like by the end it's like completely unrecognizable. And at one point we did finally decide, okay, we're going to commit to this. We're not going to leave ourselves any options to change this format later on. And the actual main set that we filmed in was like this square-ish looking space, and all like in post when we're cropping it out, like the sides of the frames are full of booms and people holding like little things and to like make the shots work. So we very much committed to it, and yeah, it's scary, but then I think it was great to just let go and just if we did it for another aspect ratio, I think would have been the same sort of thing. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So we have a question from Ajay for Wendy from How to Buy a Baby. The question is, I hear that you've had some success placing the show at bigger platforms. Can you please tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. It's currently being formatted as a half hour in a different country. I can't totally talk about all the details yet, but that's sort of that's underway. And so I'm excited to see what they do with it and how they take that and turn it into a half hour. So that's been really exciting, and I hope to have more details on that soon.
Thank you. So we have a question for Jesse here from Pull My Finger. What is it about this very simple and kind of juvenile game that inspired you to want to riff on it? This is a question from the audience.
I guess I had a couple of shorts in the past that did a similar thing. Just a joke that gets repeated so much by either kids or it's just so stupid that it's not funny, that it's like, okay, well, let's use that as the starting point, and just I don't know, it opens things up to do almost anything. And the idea of the finger being pulled is just we just found that there was 100 different ways that could go. Like, what happens when the son pulls the dad's finger? And I don't know. There wasn't any limits. We had to cut out many ideas to.
Yeah. It sounds like you were taking something that starts off not funny and just trying to make it funny.
Yeah, polishing your turn, I guess. But yeah, in a way, that set the baseline. Yeah.
All right, thank you. We have a question for Lindsey, and oh yeah, she's been brought up on stage. So the question is an audience question for Lindsey. Is the goal to turn this into a sketch comedy show, or is it to take one of the sketches and elongate it into its own premise? How do you think about taking the core of this show and extending it?
Yeah, so we have written a couple short pitch docs, episodes, all of that jazz, which I've been learning a lot about during our industry panels this week. So thank you, Stareable, and how to do that well. Yeah, we've been trying to adapt it into like a 30-minute, 22-minute short form episodic about the trials and tribulations of the Hysterics, trying to make it as a comedy trio here in Toronto, and kind of just like really compounding on that gig economy, millennial lifestyle, Tinder addicted women, just trying to make it in the world. So yeah, that's the dream. That's the goal.
All right, thank you. We have a question for Hong and Diane from Sideways Smile. Questions from the audience. It's what's been the reaction from the Asian American and more specifically the Asian American female community to your show?
So I will say it's been great. I think most people are like, wow, I totally relate to all of the stuff that you're talking about. But it has also been great that it's not just the like sort of Asian American women who are saying that they relate to this. I was on a panel, I think like a few days ago, and there was a Latinx, she was our moderator, and she said she watched it and she was like, I literally had this exact conversation in the second episode with the guy that she was dating, and that it was the same thing, but with like Latinx women. So I think the conversations that we're having in the show, you know, are bigger than just like, you know, Asian Americans. It's really like the intersection of race and identity and gender and how that kind of plays out in someone's life. Diane, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that was great. I mean, I will say that like we've been lucky enough to screen at the Asian American International Film Festival, and I will say that it does feel like extra special when like someone who's Asian reaches out and is like, I have never seen this on screen before, and I didn't even realize I was missing it until I saw it, you know, type of thing. So that's always gratifying.
Yeah, I can imagine for any creator, I think that's kind of a magic moment. Okay, can we bring up Julie from BOXCAR Adults, please? It looks like we have a question for her from the audience.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Okay, so the question is, this idea of millennial aimlessness is something we hear a lot about. How do you think about creating a differentiated take?
I guess I felt like something that I was thinking a lot about with BOXCAR Adults is how much things actually haven't changed that much. We talk about it like things have changed a lot, but I think that there's kind of more there. I mean, if you think of like, you know, Thoreau, his mom brought him sandwiches. Well, he's right. You know, like this idea of independence that we really talk up, or even the actual BOXCAR Children book. Not to spoil it, they go live. They go out into the woods for these children for the entire book, and then at the end they move in with their wealthy grandfather and solve mysteries out of this BOXCAR clubhouse while they live in a mansion. You know, and like, so the way that we look at independent, like, oh, back in the day, there were people who were really independent, and now they're not, I think is pretty flawed. And so I kind of, I feel like there's more to explore there.
Thank you. So just a reminder to the audience, you can click the hand icon if you want to ask a video question, or you can type in the chat if you want to just send a text question to any of the creators here. Okay, so can we bring Jesse back up stage? It looks like we have another question from the audience for Pull My Finger. There he is. Hello, Jesse. So the question from the audience is, what's the goal? What comes next? I'm not sure if it's for you or for the show, but you answer it however you feel.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We set out to make something that kind of exists in a vacuum. Like, it's format-wise, it doesn't really fit into any other boxes in terms of, it's absolutely not fit for a long-form adaptation or anything like that. So now we are working on long-form content, which has evolved through conversations, but not directly through the project. And in this sense, it was great to just make something wild and not think too much about the roadmap, which I think we always tend to do, or what we're told to do. So this was a bit of a wild card project. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we have another question for Hong. So, yep, you're already on stage. The question from the audience is, what are you excited about in the next year? What are you working on next?
I'm excited to take this show to series as a half-hour pilot. So or a half-hour show, and that's really what we're working on and our goal for the next year. Yeah.
Thank you. While we're waiting for more audience questions, why don't we just ask sort of the obvious question? That's the elephant in the room. Like, how has the pandemic affected your production pipelines, your schedules, that sort of thing? We've got Julie, Wendy, Hong up on stage right now, so we can get answers from you and then switch to other people.
All right, I'll talk.
Go for it, Julie.
Okay.
Please do.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's been a lot of like not being on, just not looking for reasons to be on set. So kind of working on post-production for projects, doing a lot of writing, trying to make things with the people I live with if I'm gonna do anything. And so luckily I live with creative people, and we've been able to do a few things here and there, but mostly it's kind of going back to writing, going back to creating that way.
I don't know. I feel like I keep seeing all these people sharing that they've become this like better 2.0 version of themselves, and they've learned how to like bake bread and knit and do all these things. I feel totally stunted. I had a really tough time feeling really creative, but I feel like I'm getting back into a writing groove now, and getting excited to keep writing and making things.
Yeah. Wendy, we have a further question from the audience for you. What are you working on now, like more specifically?
It's been really fun working on some other people's shows. So I'm working on a show in development. I just worked on a show called Let's Talk About Sex for CBC. That's sort of a sex show aimed at teens, educating them, which was super fun and to do, and kind of awkward asking my 14-year-old niece if I was saying things right. But so things like that. So yeah, working on some other shows in development now, some other half hours, and a lot of them that focus on parenting and marriage and things like that, because I just love those topics so much.
Thank you. We have another audience question here. I'm just waiting for it to come in. Okay, so this is a question for Julie from BOXCAR Adults. I love the opening. Do you envision expanding or adapting the series for long form? What's the next step?
I would love to do that. I think I've kind of kicked around a lot of different ways to go about it. First of all, thank you. I'm glad you liked the opening. And yeah, I think I have a few ideas, had a few conversations about how that might work. And that, I think there are a lot of different ways that I would envision because the concept is a little bit specific, and I don't know how long it would go. Really just continuing week to week, expanding it. I've had a few conversations about like what that might look like that might be different from just elongating what's there. But yeah, I would love to do that.
Thank you. I see Lindsey's been brought back up on stage, so we're just going to get a question ready for her in a minute. We're just technical difficulties here. Okay, this is a question from Diane, actually. Were there any super unanticipated challenges in production, and how did you creatively solve them? Are there any crazy stories about how things had to change on the fly or that you would change?
So we shot everything kind of like ourselves with our friends. We have one incredible cinematographer, editor, sound mixer. She taught us how to hold a boom mic. Like, this is the most bare bones set ever. We had local coffee shops who saw us on Instagram, who are my neighbor, and they were like, do you just want to shoot here? Like, we would have just been given so many loving, gracious things. Anything wild happen on set? Like, not really. We got really smart later on. We were like, why don't we just keep shooting in our homes to make this like easier? So we kind of stopped shooting outside. And we just we got smarter as we moved on further and further. But nothing too wild. We screamed once and the neighbors were really concerned something was actually happening. So that's about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of web series creators. Yeah, I think a lot of web series creators kind of have that story where, like, it's kind of a de facto film school for a lot of people. Like they start off, maybe doing like dumber things, but then as they shoot more and more, they sort of get smarter and they learn as they go along. We have another question for Julie here. This question is from Meredith B. Did you have any issues with rights, given that the story is based on BOXCAR children? That's a good question. Thank you.
Shh, don't tell them. I'm really leaning on the fair use and parody here. So I did speak with someone. I think that's fair. Yeah, I did speak with someone who kind of understands copyright law better than I do about the finer points of that, and sort of got an informal opinion that hopefully I'd be okay. But pretty much since it's a parody, not yet. But it may have influenced how I think I was a little bit concerned about it when it first kind of went out there, and I was hoping no one would come after me. So far, so good.
All right, thank you. So we're getting close to wrapping up here. So why don't we just have the people up on stage just kind of give a quick statement of what's next for them and how we can find their specific series on the web. Why don't we start with you, please, Hong?
So you can find us at sidewaysmileseries.com, and you'll find all of our Instagram and Facebook stuff on that website and what's coming up next for us there. So follow us there. Hopefully in 3 years, you'll see it on your network TV.
Yep. All right, thank you. Julie, please.
Yes, you can find us at boxcaradults.com, and everyone's bios and information for the cast and some crew and everything is there too. And otherwise, really just I'm trying to if this doesn't go anywhere else, I'm trying to work with these same actors and crew again because they were amazing. That's pretty much what I'm doing.
All right, thank you, Lindsey, please.
Yeah, so you can find us at www.justhysterics.com or on Instagram at justhysterics. That's kind of our platform where we were born and what we based everything out of. So that's our little home. Send us a message. What's next? Who knows? 2020? I don't make plans anymore. So we'll see.
Fair enough. Thank you. Wendy, please.
Yes, you can find us at How to Buy Baby on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We'd love you to come be part of our community. And thank you so much for this panel. It was so lovely to get to meet you all.
Thank you. Jesse, please.
Yeah, you can find our stuff at the Folks Upstairs on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. As for what's next, we got a short in the pipeline that as soon as production opens up, hopefully in the next month, we'll be able to get to that. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Since Hong already plugged Sideways Smile, I will be super selfish and plug my own Instagram handle, which is Diane Chen 51. And who knows, maybe I'll like break some crazy news story about Sideways before we can put it on our Sideways Instagram. Maybe I'll tempt y'all with that. As far as what's coming up next, I always like Lindsey said, 2020 is a hot garbage fire. She didn't say that, but I'm saying it. And I think
we all know.
We all know it's been a hot garbage fire. And I plan to be famous by this time next year. But in the meanwhile, Sideways is lucky enough to be screening at a couple other festivals, even just this month. We're screening at New Fest currently. We started yesterday, and we're also going to be screening at Austin Film Fest and Bushwick Film Fest later this month. So if you want to catch us again, maybe after you watch us on Stareable, that's where you can find us.
All right, so I'd like to thank all of our creators, and thank you again to the Fest sponsors, which are Dell Technologies, AMC Networks, Shutterstock, and Adorama. Thank you to the audience for participating. We love seeing you all here. Thank you for joining us and being part of this impressive community of creators. So we'll see you again. The next session is from 2 to 2:30 p.m. today, Eastern time, so that starts in half an hour. A talk back with some of the creators from short form drama, including Lindsey from Scribbles, Lisa Balin from Save Me, Nilit Saruya from One Woman, and Carmen Albano from Detention Adventure. So thanks again for joining us, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks so much. Bye.